Hello there everyone. Welcome to this event from IBC 2013 in Amsterdam. Slightly damp, slightly warm Amsterdam, but very good all the same. My name's Rafael Samad. I work at Emotion Systems as a business development person there. Emotion Systems is a relatively new company, and a lot of the people, however, in the organization are very well known in the industry. I'm joined here today by MC Patel, who's my boss, but also the person I'll be interviewing today. And you may know him from some of his past endeavors at Alpha Image, Abacus, Quantel, Post Impressions, Discrete Logic, and a few other bits and pieces here and there too. So a lot of people know MC well, so first of all I'll say welcome to MC Patel.
Hey Rafael.
So I'll try not to be too tricky, as you're also my boss.
Yeah.
So first of all, here we are at Emotion Systems. Actually, we've had a great start to the show. Emotion Systems, why Emotion Systems? What's it about?
The name Emotion Systems came about a few years earlier when I was trying to do some video processing, and I had a great interest in motion estimation. Mm-hmm. So I came up with the name of, actually at that time, Emotion Engines. So E for estimation and M for motion. And then we did some technology within Emotion System, Emotion Engines, which was to do with creating slow motion from 25 frame or 24 frame shot material and things. But that was a difficult business.
Yeah.
And for a number of reasons we chose to move away from that. Okay. And 3 years ago we reformed, and at that time Emotion Systems became the name. We fell in love with the word emotion because it's sort of representative of what we do, how we do it. There's a passion associated with it. Yeah. And so we've kept that part of it. And as we're presently doing some audio work, people actually like the fact that they associate a lot of emotion with audio.
Yeah, in actual fact, it's strange with audio. It's always been the case, you know, you don't notice if it's great audio. Exactly. You look at pictures, but if anything has wrong with the audio, you certainly know all about
yes,
it.
The eye is more forgiving than the ear. So the name Emotion Systems came about from that slightly unusual origin. However, Emotion Systems isn't just about audio. The continuation that we wanted to provide from the work we're doing with video processing was to create products that are really designed for signal processing in the file-based domain. And some years ago, I felt that all the great apps had been done, and you know, editing effects and all that. And there was a huge amount of value erosion in there. And you also needed a substantial team to do things like that. And I was doing some consulting after all these great names that you mentioned.
That's right. Yeah.
And I wanted to go back into making product. And so I had an idea that as the world moves towards file-based processing, they would want to do things in files that they do in real time. I didn't know what those things were, but that was the idea. The germ of the idea was that.
Yeah, actually you mentioned files first of all. You know, I mean, of course we've seen so much at the show today is all about file-based workflows and things. You know, what do you think are the main drivers were? First of all, I guess, why would you do it?
Yes.
And then secondly, actually having done this easy move, apparently, what are the challenges actually?
Well, the logic behind doing it is that increasingly we're generating content that is, say, resolution agnostic. The tape-based real-time world really was, the bedrock of that was a standard. You know, 525, 625, high definition, etc. With files, you had some flexibility there. The other thing was if you wanted to do something really difficult, you could take your time over it. If you wanted to do something easy, you could do a lot faster. Now, that wasn't necessarily the logic behind it, but as the IT world, everyone calls it, started working its way into broadcast, there was a lot more computer-related technology.
Yeah.
And so the file-based workflow evolved and developed. And nowadays, as you can see, probably the output of this camera would go into a file if it wasn't being aired. So we saw this proliferation, but by and large, bulk of the file-based workflow, as we called it, really involved taking a file, moving it from A to B, and then airing it.
Yeah.
And the front end was this real-time engine, and the back end, the master control, was real-time.
Yeah.
But then internet deliveries come about, other platforms have come about. So now the coax is still got an important place, but it's having to accommodate all these other things.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I've had the pleasure of being able to do is to work on cutting edge stuff and being able to do new things.
Yeah.
And I had a clean sheet of paper. I had no legacy. I hadn't been with a company for 20 years and so on. So the clean sheet of paper allowed us to come up with an idea of this file-based processing.
Yeah.
And also keep that idea relatively unbounded initially.
Yeah.
So the ambition of the idea is maybe we could do metadata, maybe we can do video, maybe we can do audio. And so we started building a platform with that without necessarily an agenda. Anybody who listens to this and says, is this the way to do a startup? Well, I really don't know. But
it's the way we've done it.
It's the way we've done it. It's a lot of fun. There is a business focus, but the actual real focus is a commercial customer focus.
Yeah.
You know, how do we help the customers deal with their problems in the file-based?
So what are the file-based problems then? We've talked about files and taking IT technologies and things and using those.
I think the best way I can describe it is that, in fact, when we went from analog to digital and people looked at this piece of digital signal, say, and say, this is great, I can't see it, I can't hear it, right? And files are an extension of that. So one of the challenges, if I have a file, how do I know what's in it? How do I know how good is it, right? Now you could go back to baseband and look at it on conventional monitors. We thought there must be a way of doing this inside the file.
Yeah.
Again, that's the several germs of the idea, but that was one of the challenge. The other thing is, can I trust what's been done to it? Right. So waveform monitors, vector displays, audio bar graphs, and all this tell us, and visually and orally, we can see what the quality is. So these are some of the challenges. Now, we didn't set out to solve all the challenges. That's a long journey. We wanted to do some things, but do them really, really well. And also, the biggest challenge that customers tell us is, well, when we had 525 or 625, we had one standard. With files, we have many types of files. So there's a huge challenge. You know, how do you deal with MXF QuickTimes and then the various formats inside them? And there are many ways of authoring this. Those files have been designed to deal with a number of ways of creating them. So the real challenge in this is to say, can we design a piece of software that can deal with all of this? And so that's I mean, I could go on forever on challenges.
Please don't.
But you know, you've been talking a lot to the customers, and as you know, we do put an emphasis on customer focus. And perhaps you could share with me some of those approaches. Yeah,
certainly. Well, certainly what I've found from customers is there are simply some practical things that customers need to do. And really, although they've built up this IT workflow, one, using IT technologies and things is fantastic, but broadcast has some special requirements, and many companies here have taken advantage of that and built special versions of networking, of disk systems, of streaming delivery, things like that. And actually what they've done is they're delivering things in a broadcast, using IT systems, delivering it for a broadcast environment. So streams which don't halt for any milliseconds or things like that. And then they need systems to actually control it and work it, and to say, how do I know if I need something done to this file, whatever that might be? Actually, I can check it till the cows come home at the beginning, but actually once it's running, I don't have the time to do that. What do I do with them? And these are some of the challenges they need. They need to know that when they've done a process, it's safe, it's there.
We also, one of the things we discovered is that there are traditional skills and there's IT skills. And there are obviously very smart people out there, but there's not that many of them. and sadly, not because, because the way the business works is efficiencies come in.
Sure.
More people have to do more work. So another philosophy within our product design was to try and come up with a system that could be automated and automatable.
Yeah.
And also to make sure that whatever you did, there was a high degree of trust.
Yeah.
So if we were to say, do something with 100 files, 1,000 files, they're faster than real time, so the process kicks off and it happens, and the supervisor goes to sleep or goes home or does something else, he needs to know that this is being done properly. And thankfully, the computer systems and the operating systems and things, there's enough tools in there for us to be able to build a product in that way. It did require us to think in a different way and to take advantage of what was available. But it did help that we understood the broadcast side, the signal processing side, and so on. And it also helped a lot that we were doing new things. And for which we built a very, very young team. So the young team brings the freshness and the energy and the ideas, and the old dogs kind of create a framework around which to operate. So perhaps this may be a good time to talk about how we took that idea and then came up with a product, or first product.
Yes, so I mean, what happened, Emotion Systems with this platform, signal processing platform, all your life, all the companies I reeled off earlier, I mean, they're all signal processing, signal manipulation, video manipulation, video routing, video control, things like that. So where was the first start for Emotion Systems?
So having tried to do some video with Emotion engines, one of the things that we got involved in about 3-4 years ago, slightly before we started the company, was some conversations we had with Moving Picture Company and Smoke and Mirrors. And Moving Picture Company wanted to know all about loudness. It was an emerging standard. Channel 4 had said they would want to enforce it, and so they came to us, and we were working with another company that did test and measurement for file-based systems, and we put the algorithm in there. And what happened then is they came back and said, this is great, but what do we do if it goes wrong, if it's not right? And so we said, what would you do traditionally? So I said, we could either send it back to the sound house, or we would output it on our digibeaters, watch the PPM meters and adjust the volume control and re-record it. Well, this is quite a tedious process, and you're touching the video. So we scratched our heads and said, what if we just took the audio out of the file, measured it, told you what was wrong with it, corrected it, and put it back in? Now, that triggered off another chain of ideas and thoughts. And Smoke and Mirrors guys came up with a list of things that would be useful to do. But we started on loudness. And 3 years later, we're nearly done with loudness. So the product came about by us saying, let's measure loudness in the file and let's correct it. Some realization also that loudness is the average of the content. And so if you're doing the average, you don't really know what you need to do until the end.
So you have to examine the whole
file
first.
Which you can't do in real time because the thing you needed to correct is long past. So in the file-based domain, there are some unique advantages that came about. And so you measure the audio, you find out how low or high it is, and then you apply volume control, those digibeater controls, and you corrected it. So the system's beautifully simple.
I tell you what was most interesting about loudness. I feel I should probably mention to those who might walk around and go loudness, and those who are involved in loudness know all about it. And for others, they think, what on earth are they talking about? And loudness is a really strange thing, because I had a good look at it to find out what it's all about. And If we look at, in UK we have Ofcom in different parts of the world, different countries, we have different regulators and things, and these are the guys whom the viewing public complain to if they get upset about stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest source of complaints was actually the fact that when they watch junctions between programs or junctions between a program and a commercial, volumes, the loudness of the program changes. And that actually significant number, and very interesting, I read all kinds of reports and stuff, actually a lot of viewer complaints arise directly as a result of loudness changes. So the CALM Act in America, a lot of compliance standards all around the world were brought about, and these are in existence today. Some are legislated, some are recommended. And so these are meant, are they not aimed at saying, okay, loudness for all programs being broadcast need to follow this level, and by doing that we're going to upset viewers less. We could use all kinds of posh words for it, but actually let's keep our viewers by not upsetting them, is the bottom of the line.
It is, and the PLOUD group, the EBU, have done some wonderful work in educating the public and the content generators, etc., on saying what we're trying to achieve. We're members of the PLOUD group. They've come up with 5 measurements. Now this is the sort of the difficult side.
Okay, go on then.
5 measurements. Program loudness is the overall loudness. Short-term loudness is a 3-second integration. So that's really can be used for short promos. Momentary loudness is the equivalent of a peak program meter without the trail. And then there is loudness range and true peak. And some countries have actually adopted combinations of these to meet their compliance. Now, first of all, there's no way that an operator can monitor 5 parameters and do something about it. But they're actually saying that most audio mixers or dubbing mixers have their ears tuned to mix to -23 or 24.
Okay.
So if it's allowed, they're allowed to do their job, then it will be okay with minor adjustments. Not always the case in the real world. But the point of this is that one of the challenges was to say, how do we automate this process? How do we make this happen and still keep it easy to use and keep it this flexible? Now, the UK Post community in that sense is a wonderful test bed for us because they deliver commercials all over the world. And so they help us come up with this idea of what we call a profile. And all we say with a profile is that if I'm trying to make a delivery to Italy or France or Germany, each could be defined as a profile. And then all the software operator does to run the software is to say, this file is being delivered to Italy, so I will use the Italian profile and create me a corrected file for that standard. Now, he hasn't had to know anything about loudness, what the measurements are, what the file type is. And for us, what's really nice about this is that here's Filebased, which could be extremely difficult because you don't know what's in it, you don't know whether it will work or not. There are many different flavors of it, and we've managed to engineer the product so that it can deal with all those file types, the different types of audio, and deliver it for different countries or different
So
customers.
what are the alternatives? Say someone chose not to do it using the software tool for Emotion Systems, F, and they said, okay, say I have a half-hour or a movie, say, if I've got a movie and I say, okay, I'd like to loudness comply or make it correct, how long would that take me to do?
Well, a major satellite broadcaster in the UK had exactly that problem. And they were taking about 8 hours of film in their Avid Pro Tools suite to make this happen. And then they tried the system out, and they were doing it in about half an hour.
Wow, 8 hours to half an hour.
And this is the manual process, where what they actually did is they felt... so one of the reasons for doing things manually is so you can see what's going on. So whilst people migrate from their traditional methods to this, they still want this visual feedback. So we give you visual feedback by way of a graph, by way of some numbers, by way of red signals, etc. And so they still want that comfort. And so they bought multiple seats for their film workflow. And similarly, the other end, they found some short-term promotional content that they are having to put through this. And so they bought some systems to do that. Now, most of these people do not have to understand the detailed spec on Lightness.
No, sure.
The profiles were set by the engineers. Of course, they had tools to listen to it, etc. But all we're doing is a volume control, so it might sound slightly louder or slightly less loud, but you won't have a change in the mix.
No. Can I ask, I mean, we've got a few minutes left, and we must get round to customers.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I've always been I've worked many years in broadcast TV, and I have to say, I adore looking at the output that people produce, the actual content that gets put onto big screens all over the world. Some of the stuff there, you think, the way you're conveying the message or the story or the emotion, it's just incredible.
It's incredible, yes.
Incredible. Yeah. And you know, I like telling them this too. Really, it's a great achievement. And so you've talked about the post community and the varied customers you've known and worked with. So how have customers reacted to the emotion systems and things?
So a couple of things really. One of them is it's a two-way process. First of all, we have an idea of how we are doing this. The customer then comes to us and says, "This is great, but our workflow is slightly different." Now, in all the broadcasters, they've put their solutions in at different places in time. So they've used technology of whatever was available at the time. There's obviously heavily influenced by their own thinking and their own practices.
Yeah.
So we do have this challenge of saying, well, how do we fit in? And the way we do it, and probably the best example is a UK playout centre in Compass, who wanted to put a channel up to air. They looked at our API and then they just simply said, we'll work with it, leave us. And they implemented a proprietary workflow using a standard tool.
Okay, so just to cover, the API is just essentially you've got your whole your software system in API is a simple way for something external to actually address and control.
Essentially, when machines are talking to machines, there's a language.
Yeah, and that's
and that's what the API is. And again, the API is very simple. You say this file, this profile, this destination. And you can then do it as a job. That's the job. And I will launch several jobs. And then if you want to know what's going on with each of the jobs, you simply request a status. The API implementation we call is RESTful APIs, the technical jargon. But it's really that simplicity of operation within it. Other more complex workflow was the NHK in Japan, where they were using effectively a program was contained in an MXF wrapper, which had multiple video files and multiple audio files. And they also said that some of these content has already been measured by our system, and so we want you to take that measurement and correct to that measurement, and we may want you to correct to a target measurement that we give you. We didn't know the reasons why they wanted to do it, but the customer's right. So we worked with them and developed a system for them to do that. That was quite a complex project, but it was nice to find that it helped an enormously large archive be brought back to their...
So it sounds like, I mean, a lot of the workflows that you meet up with or required to work with are quite complex. So you've got the loudness compliance tool, and you're happy to do work outside of that to actually help with the integration
and
things.
Again, the essence of the business is to simplify, and to simplify and do something where the result can be trusted. So we are obsessive about it. We work with our customers and help them diffuse their complexities with simplicity. Now, this is actually the much bigger part of what we do. The loudness, it was some nice algorithms, we evolved them and developed them. The file-based processing, the different varieties and flavors was an enormous challenge. And the workflow is an enormous challenge. And really for us, a happy solution is one where we actually say, we'll deal with the complexities so that you can get on and do your job. And your focus remains on, as you said, beautiful content.
It is. Actually, talk about beautiful content. in audio, you can't get away from Dolby.
That's correct, yes. So Dolby originally really was brought about, Dolby E this is, Dolby Digital's for the receiver and everything. Dolby E was originally brought about because we had 4-channel recorders and we wanted to record more sound. And so Dolby E allows you to put 8 channels in 2.
Okay.
And there's an awful lot of legacy content which is stored that way.
Okay.
And so one of the key requirements was to say, if you can do this with your files, what happens if I have a Dolby E in those files?
So in other words, the system will handle Dolby E.
That's correct, yeah.
It'll loudness comply, it'll encode, it'll decode. Yeah?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well look, I think I've learned some stuff as well. It's a fantastic time at the show. The show's really buzzing actually, really very good. I think it's time really for us to say thank you for viewing. Thank you for the team for getting us on air here. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Always people behind the scenes, which are our customers at the end of the day. And thank you, viewers, for watching MC. Thanks for your time here.
Raphael, thanks for leading the way towards answering some of these questions.
I hope it helped. Thank you all very much. Bye for now.